Good.
Be good to talk about, and you talk about, it's in the document, but talk about the pervious area, and, percent expansion, those kind of things.
Sure, I need my notes.
Okay.
The existing site is defined right up here, is about 29.5% impervious. The limit here is 20% in this zone. But the camp was grandfathered and was, right now they're about 29.5%. With this new build and the much shorter driveway and the other changes we're making, we're down to 24.7%. So it's still not in compliance, but it's much better than it was. So it is becoming more compliant. There was a discrepancy from the assessor's office as to the size of the lot. The lot is actually a little smaller than your assessor says it was because we had it surveyed, or the previous owner had it surveyed. And so we believe we have the correct thing because the surveyor said so. And what will be, Don has asked for a copy of that survey, which will provide when I get a chance to talk to the surveyor. So.
You could talk about, quite a bit of vegetation's changed on that plan.
Right, a lot of the vegetation that was out in back here now, of course, has to be moved because that's where the camp's going. The camp being up here is going to be wide open, but what we're proposing to do as part of the phosphorus mitigation would be to have this as like a mulched buffer. And so it sort of emulates the duff layer in a forested buffer, and put in some ornamental bushes and stuff in that area. So it's going to be, a functional water quality improvement.
You folks have anything to add to his presentation? We'll start with Brent then.
Okay, so did I understand you to say that application will be revised?
It probably will be, but we needed to do this according to, Penny spoke with someone, we needed to do this so we can get started with demoing. I had heard that we may be able to get the demo permit without having approval here, but she came in to speak to somebody and they wouldn't do that. So
I'm sorry, say that again, please. What you just said.
Okay, the first step in building the new camp is demoing the existing one that's there. And so to be able to start that, they wanted to get the approval for this one. There'll be a slight change that we want to incorporate into the permit, so that we'll have a final site plan. But that wasn't ready at the time we were putting this together.
But is it buildings changing, locations?
The location will remain the same. The building's going to be actually a little bit smaller, so it'll be less impervious area, bringing it more into compliance.
I understand now, okay.
Yeah.
Brent, sorry.
Minor point.
They're replacing and contracting. This is a smaller footprint than we had before. They were allowed a 30% expansion, but I think this is actually, I think it's a little smaller actually. It may be about the same size, but by moving it back, they have much less impervious area because the driveway now goes all the way up here. Now the driveway will just be 40 feet long enough or 20 feet long enough for a couple cars. So they're decreasing the impervious ratio.
Right.
The house, I believe, is going to be smaller, the new one. Yeah.
Smaller than the existing or the original?
Yeah. And also in the original one, the original site had 2 or 3 other sheds that have since been removed. And so they're able to offset that with the size of the new building. It'll be one uniform building or unified building as opposed to building, shed, 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 shed.
I didn't see.
So actually, some of it's on the site plan here. The house was 1823. The cabin or, yeah, right up on the corner here. So it's a little confusing because this does include the pavement here. So the total of the buildings was 2,909 square feet. No, it's less than that because the pavement is around 500 or 650, or the sidewalk is 907. The sidewalk and drive is 907. So that's roughly 900 feet of pavement. So that 31.
Like,
Yes, yep, yeah. So they're allowed a 30% expansion. So if you take the 2,909, 30% of that would be over about 900, 800 square feet. I'm doing it in my head, so yeah, struggling with that. So it'd be about 800 square feet more. So they'd be allowed 800 plus 29 would be 3,700 square feet.
Also on your cover letter, you're suggesting an impervious area.
Right, that's a typo in the application. And there's a second one, one on the first page, one on the second page. Both of those should be 24.7. Good catch. I just noticed it when I read through it again today, so.
Side the 100.
Right, the existing structure, as best we know, is 28 and a half feet. So I have a diagram for this now. I believe it was measured by the contractor or something. Yeah. Okay, so I believe it is a measured number. So,
But here. That's block.
right. Right. The new building is quite a bit less than that, though. So, yeah. So got two different, we have the heights dependent upon the setback. And so we're coming at it from two different directions. So I've got a couple different elevation views to show how we're in compliance with that. This is the one, the lake is over here where you see the yellow line. And the front of the existing building is right here, which is about a 10-foot setback. Top of that is the 28.5 or 28.5. And that's going all along here. So you can see that's quite a bit above the existing top of roof. The ordinance would say the maximum height within 75 feet is 20 feet. So that's lower. And the maximum height at 100 feet or less than 100 feet is 25 feet. So that's right here. So that roof height is about 25 and a half feet. So it's about 3 feet shorter. Based on the contractor's measurement, it is 28 and a half. Okay.
right there. What, go ahead.
You probably have a question about this.
Yep.
This is a tower. And so what I wanted to show here with this diagram is the blue line here is a 100-foot setback. So if you're looking at it from the front of the lake or from the main body of the lake, it's beyond that 100-foot setback. If you're
Is it
looking
an
at it,
architecture feature or is it a use? So what is it?
I believe it's going to be,
You'll have windows up in that.
demolition image. I don't believe the trees have been cut yet. Right. Yeah, those are the trees that are due to be removed.
So the first one, I was gonna ask for.
I think we're planning on doing 50 feet. And have it kind of mulched. That way you're not mowing into the lake. You're not, you don't, and the mulch will actually function sort of like a stormwater treatment system.
My second question for you is, you said you had a bunkhouse. Our town of Winthrop does not define a bunkhouse. How would you define?
It doesn't meet the definition of an auxiliary dwelling unit or as a dwelling unit by itself, because all of those have to have a bathroom, a kitchen, and living and sleeping space. All this is a sleeping space. So I would define it as a shed. No. Is there anything?
And I didn't quite, what did you ask? Is that a?
Is there,
Right.
okay, is there?
So physically, are you moving the existing building that's been renovated to that location or?
Yes, yeah, that's going to be moved way back as far as we can from the lake.
But how's that look on a plan? The plan we have here looks like a foundation plan.
Shows the structure attached.
At one time, we had an architect to do these drawings, and at one time, that bunkhouse structure was going to be integrated into the building. And so they'd kind of build around it. So that's what we're showing here is it would be
The
in
center on the block.
this area right
Yeah,
here,
that's what this. that's-
relocated bunkhouse. That's not going to happen anymore. Over in this area?
Oh, okay.
Showing the-
Right, it's not shown on this plan.
Really, it's going over here somewhere on the lot,
Yes.
not in that corner.
It's not down here.
Is there a structure in that corner?
No, right now that's open. There's nothing there. It's driveway.
So, but you're proposing to put it between the line, which is 70. Oh,
This is where the bunkhouse was going, right?
right. We understand where it says on the drawing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's attached to the new construction. Because of the way the roof lines go, it would have been a nightmare for everybody involved. So we've been trying, because we can't move it off the property. It's too tall to go down Welch's Point to tow it. Unless we want to put it on a barge and ship it across the lake, we can't do it. And it's too nice to burn it down. So we've been out to the property every day trying to figure out where the best spot for this beautiful little building would go. So which essentially we were thinking over in this corner, but it just, I mean, the reason we're moving to the lake is to see the lake. So this, I'm calling it his man cave because that's probably where he'll be watching football. So what we've come to decide is to keep it where it's pictured here, but not attach it. Because we have that little spot. Well, it's gonna be back. This is the front of the
Yep.
house, this is where the bunkhouse would be. Yeah, but just not attached to the construction. Sorry.
If you will, in between the two. So on one side of the boundary line, it's it's in its legal limit to be where it is from the setback. It's farther back than the camp that we're building from the water. And that's about it. And that's the only thing we can do with it. If it was,
We can't.
we can't.
The bunkhouse has two separate heights of roof.
I see what you're saying.
If
If-
it was,
It was gonna be a big, it would have been 2 bedrooms. It would have been.
Your bedroom.
I would have said, yeah, at some point.
So is it going to be ever used as a bedroom?
no.
It's not gonna be used as a bedroom now because you can't attach it. It's not, because we were gonna, so if we was gonna attach it, the wall that was gonna go up against the bunkhouse, we were gonna take out and open that up to make a bedroom out of it. Now we can't because it's too small in there. Can't, there's no room for a bed in there. You'd have to come see it for yourself.
Probably would use it as sort of like a pool house, but it's on the lake. So if you're in a wet bathing suit or whatever and it's starting to rain, you can go in there. There is a TV in there and a couch for him to sit down and watch TV.
Done. We did it.
I'm not going to fight that out.
No, I think.
So not a lot of questions on this.
This is all scalable, so if need be, I mean, I could put those on, but it's, this is all scalable. Somebody could,
Yeah.
if something looks way out of whack, they can tell. Correct.
Is that?
Yeah.
6 wide.
This is the garage part here,
Yeah.
right here. This is her usable space inside in the office. What would you say the bottom was? Bottom floor? Yeah, no, just the side of the garage is is the closet space or walking. Yeah, and downstairs is mudroom. Okay. So that's this sort of smaller rectangle here, and then this is the camp.
See that?
The-
Looking
the-
at it.
Yeah, the garage here has got a sort of a dashed line at the end of it. This part is the garage, sir, right here.
Yeah, yeah.
And then this is the mudroom, closet, office.
It really begs for a floor plan. That's what he's saying. You also have other elevations as well?
I have the other elevation here. Whoops, wrong side. This is the elevation I presented earlier with the setback from the lake. This is a perpendicular elevation. This is the setback from the lake on the side. So this is the lake out here with the yellow. The 75-foot setback here is the pink, and the 100-foot setback is the blue line. So this tower is outside of the 100-foot in both directions. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. I did not put that on here. This is the maximum height at over 100 feet is 35 feet.
Under the 30.
I'm under the 35, so it's 33 and a half, 33 feet, 2 and 7/8 inches. Yeah, yeah,
We're looking.
yes. The entrance, this is a walkway going in here. No, you do not have this one. This one I just made up today in response to. And then these are some of the other elevations that the architect had provided. This is the other side of the house, again, with the 35 feet limitation up here. And the lake would be out this way. The lake would be over where I am. And on this one, I get twisted around. I think the lake is on the other side of the top one. Yeah. And on my side on the bottom image. I hope so. I don't know. I'm sorry. I have to look. Is this where the bunkhouse would be? Or is it? This is this area. One is probably, yeah, this is, yeah. Yeah, this 10 feet in here that you're talking about. Yeah. I'm not sure what it was before. I think it was more than that when the camp was out next to the water.
Original setbacks there were 20 foot, now they're 10. On the roadside, they were 40, now they're I want you to see what it is, what you're getting. understand where we're at. The first stage is for us to rule that the application is complete. That doesn't mean the application is approved. It means the application is complete. And what Greg is saying, there's conditions relative to that for the application to be complete. So that said, is there a motion to move forward with the application complete? Or do you want those things before we do that? What's your intent?
My intent was to make a motion.
Oh, go ahead.
My intention is to make a motion that the application is complete with the addition of the 3.
So I only got two of the,
The 50-foot vegetated buffer would be defined. The location of the auxiliary structure be defined, 10-foot side setback and 100-foot from the water. And then a full set of plans, including the plot plans, well, with elevations,
And the floor.
floor plans.
You mean plot plan
Well, plot plan,
and floor plan?
yeah,
Chairman?
Yeah. The bunk,
Can you use a mic? I can't hear you.
So originally, you guys wanted us to move the camp back 65 feet, which we're doing. In order to do that, we had to move the bunkhouse because the bunkhouse was going to be in the way. So in order for us to do that, now when we put the new house and the breezeway and the garage in there, moving the bunkhouse to the opposite side where I just showed you people in the picture, the bunkhouse can't go back any further than I just showed you because it's going to hit the garage because the garage is there. See what I'm saying? So the bunkhouse is back further than the camp that you wanted, which is, how far back's the camp now? 65. So I'm guessing the bunkhouse is at least, I'm guessing 68 or 69 feet. That's as far as it can go back, because if not, it's going to be hitting up against the garage. And you got to be able to walk around that structure. If there was a fire or something, you got to be able to get around it. So we can't go back 100 feet. And let you know, so there's nowhere else to put it.
well, on the existing drawing, even though it's shown as attached, it is 100 feet back. And if you detached it and moved it 5 feet to the property line, it would still be 100 feet back. So are you suggesting that it's not going to be attached and you want to move it 5 feet to the sideline and closer to the water?
No, I'm going, no, no.
I understand it's not attached, so as you
So the
detach it,
bunkhouse, the new cabin, call it the new house that we're building, is how far back from the water?
62.
62 and a half feet, correct? Now, the bunkhouse is where the house is going, okay? So we're gonna pick the bunkhouse up, move it to the right side of that. So now we're gonna go back further than the house is, than the 62 and a half feet. The bunkhouse is even going further back. It's going back at least 60, whatever it is, 63 or 64 feet. It can't go back any more than that because the garage is going to come into the play, the side wall of the garage. I'll show it to you on my phone. Hold on. Where's your phone?
okay, so
There's a, you can't put it back. Where's the picture?
So what impact does that, let me understand what impact that has. Does it impact the vegetated area? What does that impact? If you did away with that building, what would it do for you? Pardon?
Could sleep at night.
Really?
thinking about locating it. Correct.
Thank you, dear.
team,
I believe this is the garage.
Yeah, it is. Yep. One house in that other corner, right where your
Okay.
finger is. Yep.
So we were originally going to attach the bunkhouse to this house, and then we were going to drive in the garage and be able to come into the garage and go into the bunkhouse, okay? Now what we're gonna do is, since we can't attach the bunkhouse to this part of the house right here, all this is doing is coming away from the house 6 feet, and it's still within the boundary of the property line, the 10-foot line.
Okay.
But
It's
is it
still-
10 foot back?
Yes.
Still
So
10 foot back? Okay.
That blue line on the map is 100 feet. So you're going to be beyond the 100-foot line.
Yeah, if you move it over here,
Wait.
Yeah, we're moving it, so what I did,
Okay.
basically what we did was, if this was the fence here, this the property line, we measured over, 10 or 11 feet, then the bunkhouse starts, and then it leaves me a space in between the house and the bunkhouse, a 6-foot walkway, if you will, to go around here and then to the back of the garage.
So how much space will you have from the back of the bunkhouse to the garage?
That's about another 6 feet.
Another 6 feet?
Yeah,
So you're asking for it to be about 94 feet
pretty much.
from the water?
Pretty much,
Okay,
yeah.
I can change.
Yeah, because you got to be able to walk in between the two structures in case,
I understand that. I just, when you were saying 62, I was,
No,
I
I'm
didn't know
sorry.
if you were trying to move it all the
Oh,
way
no,
up to
no,
the
no.
62-foot
No.
space?
Anyway, so we can
Oh.
put that on the, that's correct.
So with all the constraints we have, you still want a drawing showing where that is?
Right, our final set of plans that we put in our filing
So
system
so
need
basically,
to have that building on it.
so basically, then when we redraw that, all you got to do is just move this over 6 feet away from the house and 10 feet within the property line. Because that's all that's doing is sliding over.
Yeah.
Because now we can't attach it.
okay.
So there's going to be a 6-foot space in between here, a 6-foot space in between there, and just slide it over.
Okay, we will let you design that on your own.
No, we're gonna let him do that.
Thank you. So we have a motion. Do I have a second? Jamie seconded it. Further discussion? Brent,
Vegetative, replanting, do we typically have that submitted to the CEO? That's not something that I've reviewed in the past. That's something we want to see in an application, or is it okay for them to submit that? Or the planning board? No, they're going to do a vegetative planting.
I
tree
described
they're gonna
it
take
as
down.
in a narrative form. Do you need it drawn on a plan?
Actually did do that.
Yeah, it is, I do have it described near
Right.
it
It was
in
just
Word.
to add that drawing,
Okay.
some type of. There's a
So the siding colors, so if that can be put on hold, I mean, we're definitely going to plant. All along the fence between the properties is going to have all new plantings. And all along the front, I just don't know what to plant yet. But I am going to, what's the name of that, Cobussy? Yes, don't they help you design? I was told that they do a wonderful job, and that's what's going to be my go-to once the structure was up.
okay, so any other questions, input? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, that brings us to, with the conditions, Greg stated in the motion, we've accepted the application as complete. The next action for them to go ahead and do the redesign and change the drawings and bring those things together, or are we prepared to approve the application? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of order. You will need to take public. No one is raising their hand.
Before we go there? Okay. Okay, relative to 67 Welch Point, public input? Anybody online? I start there first. Anybody in the audience? None, okay. What is the board's desire relative to application? Couple of choices I guess we have is go ahead with the approval is complete, application complete, and then go ahead and do the redesign work, resubmission of the updated plans, or you can go ahead and approve the application. Don, did I satisfy everybody's input,
The
public
option
input?
Yes. Closed and no one was present. I'm just trying to understand what the options in terms of making a decision. I misunderstood that.
What I'm seeing is that at this juncture, there's some work to be done. And we've requested additional information relative to that. It's up to the board whether they want to approve the application now or not.
Correct. You could condition upon.
That's what I'm asking the board, which way they want to go. Now, that said, when's the next opportunity for them to bring that back? Give a notice and all that.
Shop is the 20th. Next July. Is that would be July 9th.
What's the barrier to the next meeting? See, that's the question I'm asking. What is the barrier?
Sorry?
What do we have coming in the next meeting?
Right now I don't have applications, but the deadline's not until next week for the July meeting.
I'm talking about the next June meeting.
It's a workshop. There are no applications on that. And you've reserved that,
I understand that. Is it possible to have an application?
is that the pleasure of the board? You can.
Okay, so it's possible they could come back 2 weeks with the changes. I just want the board to understand the options they have. So what's the desire of the board? On your suggestion coming back?
The new. Good.
We have a motion and a second. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, in terms of notification, if you want to table it to a date and time specific, the applicant feels they can have the modifications for the June 25th meeting, I would suggest continue it to that date and time. And then everyone's on notice as to when it's coming back. I'll have to send notices. Not a big,
So what would the motion sound like? Would a,
to continue the item to the June 25th planning board meeting. But it
Wait.
depends, the applicant may
I'm-
have a sense if they can provide the information. in.
right, so let me ask you a question. Is it possible you folks can come back to the next meeting and satisfy those stipulations and we can review them as an application?
Yeah.
They're looking at you. Okay, he's saying he thinks he can. Is that your desire? I can't hear you.
All you really want to see is where the bunkhouse is going to go, the dimensions of the bunkhouse.
Oh, there's a list. Read the list, please.
Vegetative buffers, we looked it up.
Yeah.
The accessory structure needs to be on the drawing and show what we've indicated tonight was 94 feet from the shore, 10-foot setback. So the actual location, and it needs to meet those setbacks.
Yeah.
And then, and I do have plans that you've dropped off today. I hadn't taken a look at them yet, but the full set of floor plans and elevations,
You got all that I just gave you.
then just I need them digitally as well.
Those plans reflect how you're going to build it?
That's correct. Everything's there, the height, all the dimensions, the room sizes, everything.
Images that
You have those?
there's hard copies in my office. Full in there.
Thank you. And you sound like reasonable expectation? Okay, so. Motion and second.
So he can come the 25th and present that to you and then we'll be all set if everything.
You're welcome too.
Okay. That's wonderful. Love more.
Everybody understand what all in favor? Opposed?
So I got a question.
Yes.
So it looks like we're gonna meet the criteria. I mean, all we're doing basically is putting the bunkhouse on there, or whatever you want to call it. And we're gonna meet all the three criteria that you guys are asking for us to, can I get a demolition permit? 'Cause I mean, if it's pretty obvious we're gonna be able to meet the three things that you want, June 27th. In the meantime, now it's gonna set me back again, another,
That's why I suggested the next meeting and not July.
I know, and I appreciate that. So, but.
Brian.
Is, excuse me? Yeah, but Mark won't give me he won't give me a demo permit unless I have a permit to build the camp. So
So,
if I had approval to build the camp with them three things clarified, conditions clarified, which I'm gonna, June 27th, I'm asking if I can get a demolition permit in the meantime so I can tear down my camp and get, because the whole thing with this project is it's very difficult the way things have to be done there. It's actually very frustrating because the camp has to come down. That's number one. After the camp comes down, I have to dig a frost wall for that bunkhouse. I have to move it because in order for me to build the house that I'm building, the bunkhouse has to be moved. So in the meantime, I could get the camp torn down, get that all done, get the concrete guy lined up, and then as soon as I get the approval on the 27th, I'm going to have an excavator in my dooryard and I'm going to dig the frost wall so that I can move the camp because I can't build nothing until I get that bunkhouse moved.
and understand all that.
Okay.
The question I hear is, can a demolition permit be given for demolition of the existing buildings?
Well, structure.
Uh,
Something
And that's their risk. I mean, we have one right now on Memorial Drive's been taken down. They had a demo permit. Now they're up in the air where that's going to go. And we want to be careful. We don't put you in that position.
No, and I understand that, and I don't.
And that's where you're coming from is,
But I mean, so we're all on the same page here, though. I mean, because basically, the three things left I have to do, we're going to be in compliance with everything. It shows right on the drawing right there that we're going to be in compliance. Because basically, all we're doing on that right now is we're just detaching the bunkhouse from the main house and sliding it over. That's it. And then we're going to put the vegetation thing on the front of the plan. What was the third thing? The floor plan, and she's got that on a hard copy in her office. You guys can look at that tonight. She's got all the dimensions, the heights, the rooms, the sizes, the whole 9 yards. It's right in there. So that's all done. That's history. So now I'm down to two. Basically, just moving the bunkhouse away from that. So I got a 6-foot walkway in between the garage and the house. That's just got to be moved over on the plan. That can be done in 10 minutes. The only thing I got left after that is him to put the vegetation where it needs to go in front for the erosion control in front of the camp.
back to demo permit. Who issues a demo permit?
Mark will issue a demo permit. Erosion control measures in place is critical. It's a calculated risk on the,
On their part.
yeah.
If they take apply for demo permit, they take it down, they got to rely on what happens in the future relative to whether they rebuild that or do a different design, which is what we've been reviewing.
Yeah.
Pardon? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Got to. Sure, even if we never rebuilt, you guys would not want that structure on the lake. It's an eyesore.
So I guess what we're saying is they would go to Mark, get a demo permit, tear it down.
Yeah.
And it's calculated risk on your part.
We can always swim.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, everybody understand where we're at? So we're waiting for you to come back on the 25th?
One other thing that would be a little safer for them is if we had conditional approval that those things, that you would meet those three conditions and provide the new plan.
I don't hear that. I don't hear that happening tonight.
It was.
Nice
It
try.
would just make, it would, well, it would take away some of their risk.
I understand.
And they have a year to rebuild because the grandfathering is good for a year
Correct.
after the demo permit
Right.
is issued. So certainly within a year, we ought to get through the board in a year.
Do you understand what he's saying? Okay.
Yeah, I've got one
Yes.
question. So the plans that Dawn has in her possession now reflect, I think you made a statement, right?
Right.
No, I take your word for it. Okay.
Well, I mean, to that point, excuse me, Brent, to that point, whatever drawings you presented is what we believe you built. So if you have a revision, please bring it with you in the next meeting.
Right.
That would expedite the process.
Right. We'll, when I come next time, we'll have these drawings that they gave you today and with the location of the bunkhouse and the buffer setback and the third item, vegetated buffer
is
shown.
defined.
Yeah,
Please help us and yourself come with what you're going to build
absolutely.
next meeting,
Yeah.
please. Well, I just heard two different stories. He's saying it's going to change. You're saying it's not. Okay.
To put this new, I haven't seen this new plan yet.
Oh, okay. So you
So,
think it's the way it's going to be. Okay. You don't know. You don't know.
and I don't know. And
Okay.
so I've got to meld whatever they've come up with onto my plan and try to do that 6-foot setback between the buildings and the 10-foot setback to meet the other standards. I have no doubt that I can do that, or
Okay.
my drafter can, but,
Please bring what you're going to build.
yep.
And I think you understand clearly. All you understand clearly. And you understand your option on demolition permit?
Well, if they're willing to accept that risk, how do we facilitate them getting a demo permit? No,
Mark.
but he won't give it, Mark won't give the permit unless we have an approval. So could someone communicate with Mark and say, this is the intent of the application or the applicant to get a demo permit, even though they don't.
Don, you can have that communication, right?
So when an application, the board generally, we ask them to not make anything, cutting anything, what they present. So I think Mark is correct in what he has said, but I could communicate that this is what the,
Where we're at, and that what's changed, tonight's changed. So Don will communicate those changes to Mark relative to demo.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're getting there. Join us on the 25th. Nice try. Nice try. Thank you, folks.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I have Greg and Jamie making that motion, and then the vote was unanimous. Okay, want to make sure. Was there a motion to table it? Date to the 20th? Jamie and Dawn. You did it.
You all done with that? Thank you, folks. All right, next. 76. Go ahead, please go ahead and do your presentation. To date, just to review, to date, we've had at least 2 presentations and a walkthrough, right?
We've had some unofficial presentations at the board.
That's one, we had one
One.
then, and then we
Yeah.
did the walkthrough.
We did the
Okay.
walkthrough last night.
I'm
and I
confused
believe
because
everyone
the
was-
previous one we did twice.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
No
So
problem.
go ahead, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Ben Murray from AE Hudson. Thanks for hearing us tonight. I think everyone here was at the site walk, so I appreciate everybody showing up for that. That was great. So this property, again, 77 Turtle Run Road is the property that the Lakeside Marina operates. Has a bunch of cabins, as you well know, on the 2 parcels that they rent out for visitors for the lake for fishing and vacationing. So the proposal is to convert this, do a condo conversion on this property. It's actually right now, it's 2 separate parcels. We'll be joining them as 1 parcel for this project because there is a property line, as you well know, that cuts up kind of in between the buildings right now. So that property line will go away and become 1 parcel. So with a condo conversion, required to go through a subdivision application through the town, and we've submitted the application you'll see in the packet. That has, of course, it's a subdivision application, so there are various items in there usually set up for larger subdivisions that people are creating for new house development. So this condo conversion is a little bit unique, fitting into a subdivision application. A lot of the items we ask for waivers because they just don't apply. We're not installing new roads, new infrastructure, and all that. But we are dividing the units up into separate pieces of property that can be sold. So you'll see on the lot, on the plan, the recording plan, all the unit numbers, those are the separate units that will be sold off individually. The land itself becomes part of the condominium association. Everyone will be paying a fee for regular maintenance of the facility, plowing, lawn work, lawn care, and upkeep, as well as they'll be voting for exterior improvements like siding, roofing, shingling, and all that. We have on the plan, or I have it as a rec plan, is our condominium record plan. Along with the units, we have areas shown for parking for each unit. And we also have areas that you'll see on the plan that are labeled LCE. Those are limited common elements that go along with each individual unit. Those vary from parking spaces, as well as some of the units have LCE areas for areas next to their unit where they can have their own individual space for picnic tables, chairs, swings, whatnot. It's still part of the condominium association land, but it is their defined individual area for their own personal property. With this proposed condo conversion, we're not proposing any additional impervious area. All the buildings are staying the same as far as size and area. In the future, when these units do get sold, if the owner decided to do an expansion of any kind or a change, that would be individually submitted to the planning board for approval, each individual unit. But none are proposed at this time. With this property, we have several separate structures. We also have the motel structure that's along the waterfront. It currently has 22 units in that structure. It's a 2-story structure. Units in there are very small. We are proposing to revise that structure down to 12 units taking out demising walls, making the units larger, more appealing for potential buyers. So it's actually a reduction overall of the site of number of units, which will decrease parking requirements and impact as well. On the plan, you'll see a lot of hatched area. We have a couple of easements that we're putting into place in order to maintain the operation of the entire lot, property. The hatching over on this side of the plan, that would be the west side, is for the marina itself, their operation. The marina will hold their current retail store on the first floor and a cafe. There will be a dwelling unit up above on the second floor. That's labeled Unit 2. But the hatched area is a proposed easement for Lakeside to both access their docks. They have a fueling station. They have a boat ramp, boat launch. So that will be dedicated area and then deeded in for access. The hatched area also continues along the shoreline, 10 feet in from the high water line. That is also deeded easement for Lakeside to access the shoreline for installation, access, maintenance of their dock system. They're also along in addition to the shoreline, there is a 5-foot path that runs up the east side of the motel and towards Turtle Run Road for any individuals parked across the street. They can walk through along this easement to access the dock area. In addition to those easements, we have another one down in the southeast corner that's hatched a little bit differently. That is an easement for the White Duck restaurant. So when people come off the lake via boat, they park in this, they dock in this docking system here. This will allow them to have pedestrian access from the dock up through this property and along Island Park Road to walk up to the White Duck. Excuse me. On the plan, we've shown our current setbacks, mostly for documentation. Again, no proposed structures are being asked for. Nothing proposed, any changes or expansions, but all the setbacks are documented on the plan. We do have a good size sewer easement that runs through the property. It's documented here on the plan. And then that is the only easement. As far as utilities, everything is public on the site, has public water, it's public sewer. And electrically wise, a lot of the cabins are individually metered. Some of these cabins have 3 units, 4 units, but they all only have 1 meter. So that will be, upon approval, that will be broken out into the 3 separate units so they can pay individually for power. In the application, go through several narratives in there. You have a narrative for the subdivision application itself. I have a narrative that talks about the state subdivision requirements you'll see in there. And one of those narratives we talk about is phosphorus. Again, we're not proposing any changes to the site, but we will have maintenance language in our condo docks that these areas, especially in the front of the motel area, stay improved. If there's any proposed changes as far as if a future owner wanted to create a patio or anything like that, that would be impervious area, that would come to the board for approval as well at that point. Nothing is proposed at this time, but we do have maintenance language in there that they can't disturb those vegetated areas with the mining of helping protect the lake. We also have 1 basin on site in the parking lot. There's a maintenance plan established for that as far as cleaning any silt out of it yearly. Other than that, everything is vegetated. Combination of some gravel, pavement, and a lot of lawn. There's some very large grass areas currently on the east side of the motel, north side of the motel. Those stay vegetated. Those are all common areas for the proposed association. Anyone belonging in the association can use. I guess so. I think I've touched on quite a bit, but anything else I can add to? I do have some updates. I know we had some questions out in the field yesterday. I have responded to those as well. Sent some stuff to Don so I can respond to those as well. Brent, you had a question on easement language. I've got a letter with me from the lawyer describing the easement. I can pass that out after and you can review that. Another thing we want to clarify, excuse me, there was a question on site about docks. At the time, the question was, what happens to these docks in the winter? Where do they go? Myself, I wasn't quite clear on that, but I have got that clarified since. As you may know, there's another condominium association down Turtle Run Road, 58, 59, I believe, that was done years ago. In that approval process, we dedicated a large portion of that as an easement for winter dock storage. The docks in front of that condominium go there, as well as these docks in front of the marina. I was not privy to that information at the meeting the other night, but they do go down to that lot, to that condominium association for storage. Correct. That was my bad information. I've clarified that. They are stored in the same areas of the other docks. I apologize for that. I don't think we had any other questions on site that I can remember. If there is, or if you have any other questions, please.
You all set?
Fire away. I am. Thank you, Rick. Percentage wise, we're at 50% for this parcel right here. Yes, with no proposed. Yes, includes building, pavement, gravel, roofs, any impervious area.
Shown on here. Oh, you're pointing out. Yep.
Yes, they are. Are you looking at the same plan that I have?
Smaller bird.
Smaller version. Okay. Yeah, let me point them out to you so you're a little clearer. So all these little boxes right here, yeah, those are parking spaces on existing pavement or gravel. Yeah. Yes, they absolutely are. There's a hatched area, not hatched here, but a dash line here, designating those parking areas that they use currently for these units. Yeah, come on over.
Bigger one.
Yeah. While we're talking about parking spaces, Greg, I did look at your comment about those maple trees. There is enough room to the east. I shifted those over out of those two trees areas. Yeah, absolutely. So these units here, so these are parking spaces.
Okay, those are parking.
Yeah, and they're all numerated to the units themselves as well.
Okay, that's what these are here.
Correct. Yeah, so you got 22A here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a parking space here.
Space there.
Yeah, 22B I got here.
Are these gonna be delineated on the ground or just going?
I think signage would be the best. Yeah,
And now counted as impervious
correct. It is now and it's there now. Correct.
thing.
Correct. There's no new proposed ones. And I do have a couple extra ones here as well that aren't
Yeah.
qualified. So there are some there too. Correct. Separate from this parcel here.
Well, I think
Correct.
one of those.
Correct. Well, they won't own any land in part of this condo association. No one will, the only entity that will own land in this will be the condo association itself. So none of these units actually own land. You own the dwelling units. Right. Yeah. Correct. Well, the docks are out in the lake itself.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we implemented these easements. So the marina does have access to the docks as well as the ramps and the fuels.
Three. Many times they've been deeded. What of them right away down to the lake. That's where they can put their 6-foot dock connection and then go out into the lake. This doesn't do that. This allows to access it, but it doesn't allow it to connect to it.
The intention is that the owners of these units aren't going to be allowed to put individual docks in. To hold.
Not?
Correct.
That's the opposite of what we're saying, though. That's the opposite, that the association won't have a place to hook a dock to, not put a dock in. They don't have any property per se to connect it to.
Well,
to flip this around, I mean, if the easement is on the condo association, that's not right. Really what has to happen is the lot has to get separated the other way. A marina needs to own the land, period. They can't have an easement, they can't have right of way. They have to own it, and they can't allow the condo association to access it other than through the marina. They can have an easement to access it, because otherwise you can't put the docks in. And you couldn't stop all those people that live there to put the docks in, except for the fact that our mooring ordinance doesn't let you put all those docks. So you see where I'm kind of going, is that I think the marina would have to own the land, not the other way around.
And I think all three of us saying the same thing.
You don't think so?
Would you, Mike, please? Your name, please?
My name is Zach Stewart. I'm the owner of Lakeside. I'm the owner of the
Thank
other
you.
condos. And so we already have this done at the condos down further for 55. It's the same thing. And so we have a 10-foot right of way that goes along the lake. And we've checked all the ordinances, the law that our attorney, unfortunately, he can't be on right now, but all of this has already been checked. And so when we have all of this in deeds in the previous approval for the other condos just further than us, Turtle Run developers.
Talking about the previous condos back up the road?
Correct. Just 3 houses down.
And so you're saying that was taken care of in that and approved?
It's taken care of. It.
I was on the board when that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's the same, we're doing the same exact thing right here. There's
You are,
nothing-
but
there's nothing
because
different.
we let you get away with it. Need that. I was
So-
on the board. That question never came up.
But I still, so this was mimicked. This was mimicked.
Didn't have the mooring ordinance and.
This was mimicked after whatever is already being done in case law in Belgrade and Sebago. So this is no different than other plans for Maine law.
Put that down as something we need to see.
Mr. Chair, just want to
What's in the lawyer's hands to look at? This particular issue is discussed.
Well, he's looking at them, whether it's with an eye to concerns are. Want to make,
You understand our concern? Stated.
Sure I do. Not sure, is your concern that on,
That's one side of it. Flip side of it is,
we can have them put into bylaws? Well,
okay, now the flip side of it has been, what I hear, the flip side of it is that the marina will not own that land. They'll have an easement, but they will not own that land.
I think they need.
And that's the question. That is the question that Don's asking.
That's why I want to see the letter of these.
Yep,
I do believe that
what's correct.
that they don't need to own it. As it came up at the site walk, about the lot of street, they one thing that was raised in my mind, and I haven't had a chance to go through the process completely, there's access if those like, there's all these docks associated. The site. Yeah, flip. So.
questioning it.
Stands that you're buying that with an easement over the, but the easement clearly outlines, it clearly outlines that that there is a marina in front of you. And everybody that buys a condo gets a first right of refusal for dock access. So they're still getting waterfront. But if you mix it up, we can't do insurance. We can't have a marina and condo people can't have their own slip on our docks. You can't do it with insurance. It's an absolute nightmare. So that's where we got into that. They have to be a customer of the marina, and that's why it has to go that way. And that's why the legal aspect is the overlay, that 10-foot. And like I said, it's the same thing that's been done in other portions of Maine. Or 15 or whatever it may be. Easement.
So the condo association not going to own that shore.
No.
Marina's going to own the shore.
No. I'm sorry. The other way around. I'm sorry. The condo association will own the shore, and then we'll
Okay,
have
that
an
doesn't,
easement.
that doesn't solve it. Okay, go ahead, Greg.
So I had a few questions on parking when we were there. So parking obviously was a question on site. I looked at our ordinance a little bit more. Challenge being that these are going to be condos. A number of these condos are standalone buildings. Standalone building based on our definition in parking is a dwelling unit. That requires 2 parking spaces for every dwelling unit. Now, on the flip side, any combined, which is multifamily, multi-unit dwelling unit requires, and I didn't write this, 2 parking spaces for every 3 spots. Every 3 units, sorry, every 3 units, you need 2 parking. So obviously the motel and any of the combined ones would need to have a different number of units. And it doesn't specify whether you have 2 dwelling units or 10 or 11 dwelling units, right? So it doesn't matter for the motel or whatever, you have to round the unit. And next comes the marina, which I know has pretty park. You know, that 25% boat trailers. And then on top of that, restaurant, so the restaurant thing requires a minimum of 10 plus 1 for every employee. So even 1 employee, restaurant. It's part
Two? No, there is none in this hash area because it would be impossible for trailer movement.
Wanted to make sure that, because you can see it when I read our ordinance.
Right, yeah, I definitely understand that. These units, the only comment I guess I would have was these units have been in play for decades with the same parking. We're not proposing anything new. We're actually decreasing the number of units. So I could see if we were coming to the board wanting to construct a motel or wanted to increase number of units, that the parking consideration would come up. But I don't see it where this has historically been used with these parking spaces for these units in the past, where we're asking anything different than what's there already. The spaces that we're showing here that are kind of stone and grass, those are the units, those are the spaces, again, historically that they've used. We took our impervious area as this dash line around, and it does come into these spaces for those areas. But all these are historically been used as parking throughout the history of the property. Again, nothing is new, is proposed. We're actually removing 10 or 11 units from the motel.
I fully understand that.
Yep.
Just understand this is a change of use here request. Changing it, tell which is different.
We're not
We can't give
doing
you
a change of use. This isn't a change of use. No, subdivision.
subdivision permit, sorry, subdivision.
So the use is commercial. Marinas are permitted, but the motel is non-conforming, legally non-conforming. Then they allow to exist in perpetuity. It's more conforming. So if they call it residential, it can't be. It can't be residential. So I've asked. Residential. So they're saying they're not getting the use, they have to demonstrate. To continue. Really. Is a tell if they're now been now use is vying for the same area. So that is a point of discussion. But they really have to demonstrate to you that they are not changing. Because if they do, they can't meet those standards, residential standards.
We don't have the stand in a subdivision.
In a subdivision, you do, but a subdivision can be a division of any number of things. So in this instance, they are going to convey out ownership with the tool of using a condominium. So it doesn't change the use, it just changes the form of ownership. And the state definition of subdivision includes this, but generally think of neighbors, right? They think of sidewalks and that, but they are both subdivisions by definition. State
And-
requires you to look at standard.
State also has a condominium act, but the town does not have a condominium
We don't have that.
ordinance. So we have to go to subdivision.
So it's important that they demonstrate that it's the same use and that it's not residential. There are transient units. And if it's changing the use, then I've already talked with the state.
We had the discussion yesterday, but he owns that. Be plowed, there's nothing. Oh, I'm going to make you around.
Well, my suggestion and what has been discussed briefly at previous meetings is that, and the applicant is aware of this and, didn't seem concerned, but understood that the necessity is that they would not be able to be established as a primary residence. The people who stay there, transient, they can't register to vote, they can't pool system. And I've seen this done in other communities. So there are restrictions around it. That's what.
See that express. Okay, in the bylaws, Second.
Well, and it's
So we're not,
this.
so we're not,
Change the use, how it's functioning, you the same.
we're not violating. We're allowing, we're not the dwelling. Hotel,
Tricky because
Microphone, please.
There's already a plan for all of this that's already registered. And I think it's 2005 that makes all of these units dwellings, and we're reducing these dwellings. It's already in Registry of Deeds. Okay. I mean, do you have the paperwork right there? No. Okay.
dated when we. Same use. Like- Dip- dip- Not. They can't meet the standards. Units. They have a non-conforming right. It's a hotel. That makes.
We cannot hear you.
I could walk to the filing cabinet back there and pull the signed agreement that says that all of these are already dwellings. There's documentation. I'm trying to find it on my phone right now that gives you the exact who signed it, when they signed it, and it's already been approved.
so.
Sure.
So you're saying we're not addressing the parking.
No, that's. So the parking speaks to you, the marina and a motel. So they've assigned us the. So the parking really. They were tied together. The units.
Right, and I think I saw, you can correct me if I'm. Specifically be allowed for condo associate. I think you said that, but I think I read it someplace too, that there were 2 spaces in the marina. Parking.
Talking about the property across the street?
Yeah,
I don't have any spaces over there dedicated currently, no.
so I think.
Yeah.
Right, but there was technically only 5 there. So that's the problem that I have is we want to be careful, we're not double dipping on. But if you have the 30 spaces for the marina, 25. Or boats, and Don mentioned, maybe we even got an enlargement to that when they had dogs. But whatever that number is in our space, that needs to be kind of, make sure we have the space to meet. And we have the space to meet the office requirement, and we have the space to meet the restaurant requirement. So those are all separate uses. You can't say, oh, there's 25 parking spaces, that's good for everybody. It's not the way it works. It's separate. If the marinas, I don't know, I guess the building is going to be owned by the restaurant and the office for the marina are going to be owned by the condo association?
Well, the ownership is the building itself, sorry. So if you buy a unit, you're buying to the outside sheathing basically of that space. So the land is the condo association, but like the space here, unit one, the office and the retail, well, the retail space, that will be owned by the marina. Just as someone on the first floor, right out to the interior side of the exterior sheathing. Just like someone else buying unit 101, they're going to own that space. Same thing, the marina is going to own that space for that unit. And they're a member of the association.
Being utilized. Like that.
Not so much, but it was my understanding that we didn't have to do that. So I wasn't going to enter that just because we are utilizing that for the marina, because we have certain restrictions per the amount of slips that we have to meet for parking ordinances for that. Furthermore, on January 12th, 2004, Beth Young, Winthrop Code Enforcement, has a document right here. During our visit inspection, you and I made an inventory of the number of buildings, the number of units, the docks, and most of the docks are permits and some are seasonal. Where's the other one that I wanted to read? It clearly says in this signed by Winthrop zoning ordinance that the rental and other uses and operations of the property are conducted year-round.
So not the same as residential, primary residential. There's no question that they're being used. Actual use. State will not allow that.
Okay,
It may be semantic.
I'll have to understand this document a little bit more.
Yeah, and we can talk outside of the meeting if it's easier to handle that conversation.
Going back, each dwelling unit will have their own additional parking on the opposite side. It's a pretty Stewart, Steve, not be part of the condominium association. Mill Street, Mill Stewart Realty LLC will have 2 easements as shown on the plan, and that was the easements you were talking about for the short run. But it does say that there will be additional parking on the other side of the road. Those just aren't. Mike, the space.
I'm real sorry to interrupt, guys, but I can't hear anything in the meeting. Is there something wrong with the microphones? Question mark. I literally can't hear anything. Ben, you're doing great. You look so good.
You hear me okay, Travis?
Can you hear me?
Me?
He's muted.
It's Travis, right? Travis?
Yes, Travis.
Travis, can you hear me?
I got you now. I was muted. Listening to most of this stuff. But it seems like you guys are. I can see hands moving and gestures from the gentleman in the plaid shirt, but I can't hear anything. Which I'm at a function for CMP. They are raising like $200,000+ for my foundation. I wish I could be there tonight. I apologize, but I am sitting outside. I'm supposed to be inside mingling and making sure that I raise over $300,000 for my foundation because I want to. This is an important meeting. And as I'm listening to this, like Zach's completely right. Like it was already grandfathered in by Andy. I don't know what the holdup is, to be honest with you. It's been 9 months, but I appreciate you guys letting me listen to it now. I'll mute myself and listen, and I'll make my comments later. Ben, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
Travis, again, can you hear us?
Oh, I got you.
Okay, we got to get closer to the mic, folks.
Asked for headsets and it was declined. My request was declined because I thought it's tendency.
Yeah, sit back. You can't.
Can't
These
look
things,
at
you
the
got to sit in front of them.
screen.
That's it for me.
Aaron?
That's a great question and it's a fair question and I wish I had a definitive answer. What I would love to see is the defined parking spaces for the marina that meets that 25% need, the defined parking spaces that meet the need for the office as well as the restaurant, so that everything is kind of like, okay, here's where all the parking is, here's where the spaces are for the condominiums. And I don't need painting on the line, on the ground. I get it's dirt and that kind of thing, but just put them like you did on the map so that we say, okay, they fit in this area. There's enough parking to meet all these needs.
If your ordinance says that I need 10 parking spaces for my cafe, which you can't have 10 people in that strictly services the outside of it, then I'll close my cafe. I won't even have it because those 10 parking spots aren't worth it for me because the other ones that we need. There has to be some type of middle ground where I don't get any business from the street. Everybody that goes to that cafe comes in by boat. If anyone wants to go to eat otherwise, they go to the White Duck and there's all the parking spots and all the provisions there. So whatever it may be, I understand that it's an ordinance and I understand that you're trying to dot your I's and cross your T's. But if you look at my cafe and you've ever been in there, you got to wait 10 minutes for an Italian sandwich, just you.
We were there last
We were
night,
there yesterday, or
Okay.
Monday.
Monday, I'm sorry.
So I understand that. It's just the way the ordinance is defined, just like it defines for the marina, right? Our ordinance doesn't define if your marina has 3 boats or has 3,000 boats. It's 30 spaces, period. That's what the ordinance says. I didn't write the ordinance. I'm just saying that's what it says. So I think, that's really, I guess my understanding is that I just want to make sure we're making sense of it. The marina has a lot of spaces and a lot of boats. And if all those people showed up on the same day, I'm sure 30 spaces is not even nearly enough. But our ordinance says 30 spaces. And again, for a restaurant, our ordinance says 10 spaces plus 1 for each employee. And I know there was 5 there defined last night. And it doesn't say they have to be paved and painted lines. They just say they have to have the spaces. So I want to just make sure the space is there. That's all. And it'd be nice to make sure that the condo association, the people that had those condos were protected and said, this is your space. This is the spaces for overflows. We know not everybody reads the signs and follows the rules. I mean, the cars at the restaurant were all there the entire time we met. So they didn't read the 15-minute sign. I get that. They don't have to follow the rules, just that the spaces exist. And that's really, I guess, my only concern is that the spaces exist.
And the other point I would make is you've referenced several documents that are in the files that establish what is allowed. All Greg's asking for is documentation establishing what is allowed. It goes both ways. We're trying to protect you people, these people, and the people that are going to be buyers in the future.
No, I think we can definitely illustrate that, Greg. Yep, not a problem.
Thank you.
I'm sure.
To your guarantee, condo owners that access in the event it's needed.
I would think so. Some,
We had discussions with the owner on that as well.
All right, project manager.
I'm sorry, an easement, you mean granted to the owners of any overflow off-site?
yes, because the,
Parcel.
the Mills Stewart LLC owns the marina parking. So you would have to have the condo association would need an easement to access that parking.
Thank you very much.
That's,
Yeah. We also discussed having an easement for the dumpster location too, Don, because that was a question on solid waste.
That was something you submitted today, that you submit, I saw something, I
Verbiage.
glanced at it, yeah, okay, the sample,
That was for the easement language for the marina, which I'll pass out after we finish here. Go ahead, Brent, sorry.
Your project narrative is referencing total
Correct.
or exhibit D, your declaration of condominium.
Okay. I'll verify that. Thank you.
Discrepancy. The hotel units, typically, about these units are proposed transient in nature. Different.
Believe so.
Hey, once again, for the people online, I can't hear anything going on. So if you guys are all just staring at each other awkwardly, that's totally cool. But if you're not and you're talking, I can't hear anything. Cause I see you guys looking at Ben in his plaid shirt and how good he looks. Look at that beard. I said, dude, killing it. He does all Travis Mills Foundation work. But if you guys are talking, I can't hear anything.
Well, so that was, they weren't primary residences, they were secondary residences. That was the language that we're trying to illustrate there.
Okay, thank you. And Zach, I missed the piece on the CCA. What are we talking about?
The CCCA is the other 6 condos that we have just further down the road. And they're not, they're all non-primary residences, but I don't think that we had anything specifically outlined for that. So.
Sites at 50%. Plan. Or this board to get an expansion. This area,
What about if they did vertically?
height limitation.
Yeah, within the height
30%
limitations, yeah.
Separate at that time.
yeah,
Correct.
they decide to make this bigger,
Right,
larger overhang. That
right. Yeah, my intention would be, well, my thought would go up.
absolutely. That's definitely positive.
Your resource protection will include in the condo bylaws rules on maintaining the vegetated areas around all of the units.
Okay,
I'd ask to go back and check that out.
sure.
I don't think that we've got any control over this, but under the topic of resource protection, while we were there at the site visit, boat trailer pulled out, had aquatic vegetation slathered on it. Water quality in Cobussy Lake is probably as important to you guys as it is to us. In terms of green, you're gonna lose recreation, you're gonna lose a lot of the value there, property values.
Right, can I add to that? I made the same observation, and I've been involved with invasive species, at least on Maranacook. And we have invasive species in Cobussy Stream, in Anabastacook, Androscoggin Lake. So it's all around us. So when you see this amount of vegetation hanging on a trailer, backing down a ramp into Cobussy Lake, it's a bit disconcerting and disturbing. I don't know what the answer is. I know on our lake, we have inspectors on weekends and holidays. I don't know what it is at your ramp, but it is, the value of the property will go down immensely with vegetation like invasive milfoil. That's the end of my speech. Go ahead.
I would love to entertain a proposal by the applicant to educate the people that are working at the marina to help perform some visual inspections on boats. Absolutely.
Every boat that goes, there shouldn't, and it would have to be an anomaly that you saw a boat on a trailer back down in and not inspected.
Not see the boat. back in. Saw a
Okay,
boat
when
out
you
of the parking
came-
lot.
There was a trailer
you
without
came out.
boats on it. They
Yeah.
put on 2 jet skis, I believe, and pulled back out.
So there should have been an inspection in and or out, and we have the DEP sheets in our office. Every boat that goes in, every boat that comes out gets inspected. So we have all the sheets and we can show you the hundreds of pages. And in fact, if you look at our social media and other things, we go above and beyond what courtesy boat inspectors do. We see so many bass boats, we see so many different connections. We look inside of power poles. We are extremely, extremely diligent, and we are extremely passionate about invasive species coming in and out of our lake. We understand what that importance is.
Yeah, and on top of that, I'm going to chime in here because I literally yelled at a gentleman today that's been in my lake every day, but pulls his boat every day. And the thing is, like, honestly, John McFedra, the head of the DEP, works with us directly and is so thankful for the partnership that we have. So I just think that, honestly, like right now, this conversation is a little bit off the rails, but we do it every day better than they do at the public launch. And we can prove it not only with paper, but Cobussy Watershed and CLA that we donate to and we work with every day, and the DEP with John McFedra. That's just, I mean, I don't know how this came up because honestly, I'm at a fundraiser, but honestly, like I'll be true with everybody. Like we can prove we do better than everybody else in the lake at the public launches. And that's no joke. That's real. Everybody goes in our lake, gets inspected.
Thank you, Travis.
Well, I
Not what I saw.
gotta be honest with you. I'm not sure where that came from, and honestly, I'm not there in the room right now because I have to be at this, big CMP deal. But like, that has nothing to do with the proposal we have going on right now, honestly. And you can call John McFerrin, the head of the DEP, and ask him how his thoughts are on the Travis Mills and Zach Stewart, Mills Stewart Realty, and Lakeside Lodge and Marina.
I stand by what I said, Travis. Go ahead.
I am in your bylaws, which is Appendix C. Again, the only restrictions I saw of condo owners are restrictions on pets and restrictions on short-term rentals. I guess I would ask that you take some consideration into also including prohibition on impervious improvements. I mean, you talked about a potential patio. I know we talked about that on site walk. That's something we would frown upon. I can't forward. And include that language on maintaining vegetated areas.
Okay.
Repair, reconstruction after fire, basically says that the board will make a decision, that the board will execute what it needs to do in order to make repairs and whatnot. To the extent that it's doable from a legal standpoint, I would like to see some language in there that says we'll also consult with any improvements to make sure that there's, you guys may not be here from the board of director standpoint. They look at this and they say, go ahead and replace this, I'd like to make sure that there's some language in there that says it's served.
So just check in to see if there are requirements that's
Yes.
more of a.
It basically says if there's damage, and the board will help assess and make sure that there's a remedy for either total casualty, not a casualty, but a total loss of the building or of damage.
It is, but it's, you want some more definition in it.
All I'm suggesting is that there be some language in there that says, and before the board does anything physically, that they're going to consult with the town
Right. Receive town approval.
as appropriate. And I am done with my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Miss.
Missed one of mine, just found it. Just when I pulled up the flood insurance, rate map, the motel and, office and several of the other small condos are in the floodplain. It says in your document that you're gonna have, you're gonna get, the condo association will get a flood insurance certificate, or insurance, and I think that's something that's required before we can, issue a permit, is we would have to have that.
Yeah. There's documentation in the narrative about floodplain?
See that?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a Loma elevation certificate done, completed by Coffin Engineering. I believe when we did the cafe renovation. And there's a little insert in the forward narrative about that. Yes. Yeah, keep going. Oh, sorry, Greg, it starts there. Starts there and it goes on to the next page. It was the elevation shot of the lowest elevation for the motel. And it showed that it was above the 100-year flood elevation.
That's the same for the other buildings or just the motel?
I took the motel, but only because it's the lowest structure on site.
Yeah, I think it is. I
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they've got be a letter of map correction, so it's a LOMC, used to be a Loma. Letter of map revision is a map revision. You didn't provide that. Just be clear what it is.
Further comment under your declaration of condominium 9I. Easement also expressly includes the right to cut and remove any trees, bushes, or shrubbery, degrade and remove the soil to install and remove any. So, to achieve the purpose. I guess I'm concerned that there's language in here that says that someone's got the right to go in and start cutting down.
Understood.
Hey, Jamie?
Yeah, those are the latest available online, I believe, at the time. Yeah. Mhm.
These trees.
Mhm.
That a survey was done, is it updated based on today's condition?
Yes, so Coffin Engineering went out and did field survey And they had a survey completed by Thayer Engineering a few years back, before Lakeside bought it. So they went out, did field work, located all these and verified that the survey completed by Thayer is accurate. So that's why they use that verbiage.
Yeah, I had to look it up. Thank you very much. Sorry, Jamie,
Don, do you have any questions?
actually do, from a crop.
They park across the street and then we have all of that cleared all the way out. And then there's another little parking spot on the other side closer to 202. And then people park down one side of Turtle Run Road. And then there's also additional parking across from the current motel building on the other side of the trees right there. And then there's other parking down the side of it. And then there's parking all the way up the side of the road on our side, on the other side. So there's lots of parking. There's, I think, July 4th and Concert on the Lake is the only two times where we see, we make our employees park way up the hill by the antique barn. And otherwise than that, we never have a parking issue. It's not, well, it's informal enough. We very strictly tell the marina people where they can park. And then we have parking spots in places where you cannot park for hotel guests. So those are very clearly outlined as hotel guests and very clearly outlined as marina guests.
Also on that, every marina guest has to sign a paperwork saying that they have one car per boat. And that way they they can't bring like 3 or 4 boats if they have a pontoon, or 3 or 4 cars if they have a pontoon for their boat.
Yeah, just as part of our site walk and looking at the aerial photo, this doesn't really pertain to your application, but we asked for clarification from Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, and they haven't given me the exact rule yet, but your docks have to be, it's a 200-foot safety zone or 1/3 the distance to the adjacent shore, whichever is less. And just doing a quick scaling, all 7 of your docks are too long, some by just a few feet, some by 40 or 50 feet. So it's likely they're going to be following up with you at some point, because that's a requirement of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. So, and there's a law for it, but he didn't have the reference, so I don't want to, I'm just giving you the heads up that, because the board was notified about it. So just letting you know.
Any other input, questions? Dawn, advice on path forward?
Preliminary application. And tonight it is noticed to deem the application complete, them to move to the next step, or if it's incomplete, to indicate what additional information that they need to bring forth. If it's complete, you'll schedule a public hearing. You've already done a site walk. And if it's incomplete, they will provide additional information and come back.
So what is the board's desire?
I think I'd like the parking, and Brent had a couple of comments that I think it'd be good to have the verbiage addressed. Some of those didn't sound like they were necessarily hard. Address some of the verbiage in the,
It was minor.
okay. And then the parking, again, just to make sure the condo association parking was addressed where those areas would be. I think that would be helpful to say how the businesses and how everybody has enough parking to meet the ordinance.
Not notice, this is a public meeting. We did notify abutters, and you don't have to allow them to speak.
Are they here? Are butters here?
Is anyone here to speak to the applicant?
The mic, please. You all set? Okay, never mind. Thank you.
I don't see anyone raising their hand here.
No one on,
I would like to make the observation that if this thing is, this business and development, that the notification should go from the perimeter of that to a little more inclusive, and maybe not that many more because there's, but I do believe that technically that should be done.
let me make sure I understood you clearly. During the meeting, you mentioned you were taking walls down in the hotel.
That is proposed, yes.
So you're doing that.
I'm not myself, I'm
I understand that. The people you represent are doing that. Is that correct? Did I understand that correctly?
Right, so they would be selling a boundary, right, to these potential owners. Now, I haven't talked to Zach and Travis exactly when they're going to take that wall out.
But their intent is to do that.
Their intent is.
So I
to do
did
that.
understand you correctly. Okay,
Correct,
thank you.
yes, yeah.
All right, so they have their direction. You have your direction.
So you're saying that you want this additional information, make it complete, and then schedule a public hearing? Are you saying done your
I don't hear a motion to indicate complete. I do hear members saying they want the information brought forward to another meeting. And I would guess we'd have the same opportunity we gave the other folks for the next meeting, which is the 25th, right?
I want to make sure that if you feel clear, that the applicant feels clear. So that same expectation, what the next review would.
Or you want a summary or
I think
get a summary?
the
Making a motion? Are you making a motion?
I think some of these are more substantive
Yeah.
than the first case.
I would agree with Brent.
Much more complex. Is that,
Yes.
Not that it can't be prepared relatively quickly and reviewed relatively quickly on
Right.
our part.
Right.
I'd certainly understand the frustration that it's taken as long as it has. But certainly, like to see that machine.
you do that same meeting, right? Or is that a public hearing issue?
step process.
Okay. So the next meeting, we'd do the approval. If everything was in line, we would do the acceptance for complete.
Schedule a
Okay, all right.
So you're pushing this out another 2 months after the 9 months that we've done this?
What's your point?
That's what I'm asking, that we're doing this
Could
is gonna
be.
another 2
It
months?
could be. But we're offering you an opportunity to come back in 2 weeks to further the process.
I'm sorry?
You're being offered a chance to come back in 2 weeks to further the process. And what Don is saying is, after that, if indeed we do the application's complete, there's a public notice process, and then we can go ahead and vote upon the acceptance or approval of the application. Trying to expedite it. Mind you, this has been a complex process, and we've been working at it. You all been working at it. We've spent considerable time on it. So that's where we're at. Go ahead.
So Don, you'll clearly outline the things that are required per the board, not just my chicken scratching and 9.1 shoreland and aerial update documentation, whatever is clearly outlined, that will come to us.
I would like to have direct conversation with you outside of this meeting to get on the.
Oh,
same page.
I would jump in here real quick. As Travis Mills, one of the owners with Zach. I want everybody to understand that this has been a 9-month process, maybe more. And I'm not huge on how it's going because we were grandfathered into this, just like our docks, which was questioned, our inspection of boats, which was a question, which actually is frustrating to me, to be honest with you, like 100%. And the next course that Zach and I take I don't think it's going to be very beneficial for the town, for everybody and everything, because we have we have waited long enough for something that's already been grandfathered in. So Ben, I apologize for putting you on the spot, but I am at a function where I'm supposed to be raising over $300,000 for my foundation, and I'm out here on a bench listening to this. And if you guys want to prolong this, that's fine, no problem. But the next course that Zach and I take will be, well, honestly, like it's just absolutely ridiculous what's going on right now. And I apologize for being so blatant and obvious, but I want you guys to know, like, this is something that was already grandfathered in. Like, we know what we're doing. We did this at the cottages already.
So that means we don't. Okay, go ahead, Don.
No, it's not meaning that you don't. It means that we've already done this at the cottages already. So I'm not sure what we're doing wrong. The truth is, I can't take a loan out to renovate my property. And I'm trying to make the best situation for the town of Winthrop as well as for Travis Mills and Zach Stewart, because the interest rates are so high, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry to be like off kilter here, and I wish I was there in person, but the truth is, like, I just want this to go smooth for everybody. And I don't know why, like, I feel personally like it's just, I don't know. I'll let Ben and Zach take the lead for here, but I'm just like, I'm beside myself right now.
Just clarification to that, or the ordinance requires a survey. And I asked for, the
Mhm.
9 months wasn't on the town's part, waiting, and I think we got that in. So we weren't dragging our feet, it's just a requirement. I think this is a reasonable board, and or that the applicant feels like, but I think we have what we need moving forward. It's reasonable, and maybe you'll have a better experience, but we did not have the full information that we needed. That's required.
Well, if I can be completely honest with everybody, because I feel like that's very important, I have paid with Zach Stewart an extra $45,000 that we don't necessarily want to. Okay, never mind. You know what? Whatever. It is what it is. I appreciate it. Want to do the thing with Rick and Penny? We'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you for participating, Travis.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I'm sorry. I'm at an event right now. I can't really get away from it because everything's going on. But I was really optimistic for this meeting because I thought this would help to benefit the town, to bring more revenue to the taxes and to the people. And I thought Zach and I were doing the right thing.
Thank you. Okay.
I think to Zach's point, Don, it was just getting a exact listing of items, comments, each planning board member, just to make sure that I obviously wrote down, comments that you had, and I think I have them all. Just, we don't want to miss something and go on to another meeting. That's all. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is this recorded too? It's recorded. All right. Can you send that to me so I can go through it? Mm-hmm. All right. That'd be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Next item, other business?
Done.
There were
Oh,
10.
I've been corrected. There's no new business after 9. Unless you absolutely need to do it, I've been, point of orders been made.
Been here all afternoon.
That's fine.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Well, I got 3 seconds. Okay,
Fine.
all in favor? Oh. Folks, if you see anything to change on that write-up I did. for the
Yes, I'll take a look
report,
at it tonight.
Just email me something and,
I'm not looking at it tonight.
okay.
We'll look at it tomorrow.